Good morning, everyone. We are going to continue on with this Bay Street walk. Right now we're on 86th Street, but we are going to be turning in a second up Bay 19th. And we'll be doing Bay 19th, 20th, 22nd, and 23rd. And you are looking at the old Lowe's Theater, which is now Marshall's. I saw a lot of movies in that place growing up. All right, so we are going to walk this next set of Bay Streets. We got some of these, a lot of these homes right here have these extensions that come out. Maybe at one time they were patios, those indoor patios, and now they're rooms, or maybe they weren't even, it looks like they were added later. But anyway, hi everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. It is a misty, rainy type of day. It's been like this for the last couple of days, and it's going to be like this for the next few days. But the one, I guess, good thing about it is it is 50 degrees. It feels like spring, so it actually feels nice out. Now, I'm using the umbrella. Like normally I would never use an umbrella in this type of weather, but I have the camera, so the umbrella is up, but it's rested on my back shoulder, so I'm just, in case it starts raining, because it has been raining on and off pretty good, and might as well just keep it open. When I don't have a camera on me, I never use an umbrella. I usually just use a hoodie. I actually hate carrying umbrellas. The other day, the last walk we did, and it really started to rain, and I didn't have an umbrella on me, and the camera was getting all wet. These two apartment homes here. By the way, we did pass a big apartment complex. Now this is going to be an interesting walk because there's a few things to point out about this walk. So there'll be some interesting little quirks that we run into later on. The first one is coming up. Bay 19th is one of those streets that does not line up with the grid. So if you look in front of me, it looks like it's a dead end, but we'll just have to turn, make a quick right and a quick left, and we'll knock out our opponent. And this is Benson Avenue, which I've done a couple of Benson Avenue walks, but we'll do one with commentary because it is it gets strange. So between 18th Avenue and 20th Avenue, it is a one-way street. As you can see right now, there's got some cars coming at me. So yeah, we are going to walk up these blocks and see what we see. Now this side, what you're seeing here is these are the backs of some of the storefronts on 18th Avenue. So some of these are straight through to 18th Avenue on the next block. But you got auto detailers, you have an insurance. I think one of these is like an insurance inspection where they take the cars when they've had crashes and do the inspections to see how totaled they are. You got St. Finbar Catholic School next to me, which is no longer the Catholic school. It's a different type of school now. And we got some school buses. We are not in Borough Park. We are in Beth Beach. It may get a little foggier as we get down towards Shore Parkway where the ocean is. There is a lot of fog as you get closer to the coast. This is the type of weather you do not need an umbrella for because it's just so misty. So I'm sure people are looking at me like, why is he using an umbrella? But I have to keep the camera dry. Got a row of brick houses over here. This block is mostly industrial and a parking lot for the car dealership, so these are the only homes you're going to see. And then over here you have what looks like a converted firehouse at one time. This has been around for a while. And this is the lot I was telling you about. One of the lots. This is a lot that people use for commercial parking. They probably pay to keep their trucks in here and stuff. And then the next lot over is the lot for the Subaru dealer. On this side, this is the loading docks for the Bruce Supply company. Those big Bruce Supply trucks you see going all around the 5 boroughs with piping and fittings. This is the back of it. This is their loading dock. And this is the Subaru dealer. This is actually their service garage right here on the other side of this wall. It looks like I'm going to get across Cropsey Avenue without a problem. So yeah, we started these walks on Bay 7th and now we're going to go all the way down. We will eventually get to Bay 54th, where Bay 54th is the last, Bay 7th being the first. Bay 54th is just a very small, tiny little street. We might not even walk through it. We might just end it like right on the corner and look up. And that will be when we finish these walks. Will I do these walks ever again? No. Not that I, can't handle it. It's just, I think once we've covered these streets, maybe we'll do them in the future, but years down the road. This block is all condos, small 2-level condos on both sides. And you got this very old, this tree is, so what's cool about this route that we're taking today, you're going to see 2 of the oldest trees in Beth Beach. This is one of them right here. This tree is probably, to measure the diameter of this tree, I would say it's easily 250 to 300 years old. So So one time I'll break my rule and say, I'll guess, this is ridiculously old tree. It's got 3 stumps growing out of it, so it's definitely probably been around since the 1700s. And then later on, you'll see the oldest, definitely the oldest elm tree in Bath Beach. And that tree, I know the age of that one because we measured that. We did a volunteer for the Parks Department recently. And that tree, when we see it later, that tree goes back to probably 1805. So there's some old trees in this neighborhood. And then the other thing that's interesting about this walk you'll see later on is that Bay 22nd and Bay 23rd have very quirky configuration. Bay 22nd, when you're walking straight up, when you get to Cropsey, it turns to the left and becomes like a court street. I think it's called 20th Drive, and it goes through like this little private neighborhood. It's not a private neighborhood, but it seems private because it's like hidden off from the main road. So that'll lead us onto 20th Avenue, and then we come back for Bay 23rd. That's a dead-end street. It's like a mini cul-de-sac. It's the, I guess you could say it's the only Bay Street that has a cul-de-sac on it. You can see all that fog out there. You can't see nothing. Can't see the bridge. It's very foggy down here. I'm wearing my spring jacket because it is just not cold enough for a winter coat, and it's also really muggy out. You know, you can imagine it's just so damp and ugh. All right. We are on Bay 20th now. You see some of these homes are inset a bit. And then across the street, whenever I come down this street, I always, oh, my umbrella got caught on something. There we go. I had to fix that. That house across the street, you see that top part? It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't fit there. Looks like somebody got a little happy and said, well, I want to slap something different on my house. It looks like a piece of jewelry for a house, but I don't know. Got this house that has like the archway patio on top and the little driveway at the bottom. I think this guy is going to come in and he's waiting for me to walk, so let me walk a little faster. Might see some snow left around, but most of the snow is gone by now. There's no more snow on the streets. We might get some snow Sunday night into Monday as all this rain moves out. It's supposed to get cold again, and we might get some snow at the tail end of it. I'm doing this around 9:30 in the morning, so it is kind of quiet, but it doesn't matter. These streets, that's why I've been doing these early. Normally, I will do my walks a little later in the morning or in the afternoon, so it looks busy and stuff. But it don't matter on these streets. These streets are always quiet for the most part, so I figured I'd do them early. We're back on Cropsey. For those of you who like big trucks, that was a big truck. Now this block has a lot of those Park Slope Sunset type of one flight stairs up to the brick with the round front. Generally, you don't see these styles of homes down here in Bath Beach, but I would imagine, now this is just my guess, this is not, this is not fact, this is my opinion, so I just want to make sure everybody knows that. My opinion is that these homes have been around longer than a lot of the smaller homes that we've been looking at, and that's because of the fact that these are pull-in from the older style. These are the type of apartment dwellings you see much older in Brooklyn. So my guess is these are one of the first types of structures in the neighborhood. That's just my guess. Either that, or they were built much sooner, much later, and the developers who built it wanted to turn Bath Beach into Sunset Park or Park Slope. We are back on Bath Avenue. Now we're going to be coming up Bay 22nd Street later. That is, that block has the police precinct. That's the 62nd Precinct House. We'll also stop to take a look at that tree. Although the tree on Bay 19th is much bigger and probably much older, but this elm tree on Bay 22nd is amazing. It's a big tree. They continually cut it every so number of years because you'll see when we get there, it's literally leaning precariously. Looks like a storm would bring it down, but the tree is over 200 years old, so you would imagine it survived a lot of storms, including all the hurricanes that have come through here in the last 200 years. So they continue to cut it to, I guess, counter the balance of the weight. In the summertime, it gets really green, and it creates this nice like canopy over the street during the summertime. It's just a nice tree. We got St. Finbar. Got some more of these walk-ups. And this house on the corner is boarded up. I don't know if you could see it from here, so interesting. I guess this is a condemned place. Either that or they have another way to get in. There is another way to get in through the bottom, so maybe they're doing some work up there. Because it looks like people living in the upstairs. Post office for our, well, not, so this post office is for, it's called the Bath Beach Station. So it's for 16th Avenue down to like, I want to say 20, maybe 21st Avenue, actually Bay Parkway, so. Now this block, you got a lot of condos that were built after they tore down a lot of these big houses. And then up here, it's a house that's split into two dwellings. Looks like we still got Christmas decorations up. This is actually a nice house during Christmas. I didn't come down here. We'll come down here next year. We'll look at it. Well, this year, later on this year. You see, they still got their Christmas decorations up. And then you can see this house right here is a one house split. Two different residencies. You got an old home here. That's a big home. Probably converted with a lot of apartments in it, I would imagine. I could see, looks like 4 mailboxes, so there you go. You can see like this block, how different from when we started. All the different types of styles of homes. You know, all different types. This goes back to when, you know, the lands, when people were just buying up the lands and building the property up the way they wanted to print it up. Build it up. I said print it up. Build it up. Well, you never know. In the future, you'll be able to print a house with a 3D printer, so. But yeah, you could see the different styles of homes based on as the land was bought. A lot of these lots were bought in sections when they were building out this area. Look at that big window right there, right above the awning. All right, we're gonna hit 86th Street. This building right here there used to be a really big house sitting on this lot. And they tore it down and built this building. You got Subway. years ago, this was like a medical building. I don't know if it was, I can't remember. I could probably go back. I got pictures actually of 86th Street. I think it was like a medical equipment or a pharmacy. It was one of those. It was definitely medical related. I just can't remember. We are on 86th Street for a little while. For the next couple of blocks, we'll be walking underneath the train trestle, or we call it the L, short for elevated rail. I am going to take down the umbrella because there is no mist right now. So I'm going to take it down. It's literally, it's damp out, but all the mist has stopped. All right, we are on to Bay 22nd. Now, if you look up the block, if you can see from here in this view, you could see the big elm tree we're gonna pass by. You could see it from here. It's pretty big. It's all the way up there on the next block. On this side, you got the condo type apartments. I call them condos because, you know, when they build these, they start out as like condos and then they end up as apartments. Got some old, still some old houses. Now, one of the things is, I get a question is when they, you know, what allows them to tear down these big houses and build these, I'll say it, you know, most of the time it's ugly condos. And sometimes they build some nice condos, but most of the time they're ugly. And that is because this area, it's all about the zoning. This is not considered a historical area. So if it's zoned as, you know, if it's not a historical area, they can tear down the house and build whatever they want. So that's why you see a lot of these houses, these big houses get torn down. You got this house right here. Look at this house. It's an interesting house. But you get a lot of these houses will get torn down when they build it. When they want to build the condos out. So that's why you see a lot of these Bay streets. They always tend to knock down the big houses. You got some apartment buildings over here. There's a lot of different styles of residency down here, and then you get, this is what I talk about. I don't think these are very attractive, these condos they put up. They just look like boxes, and we used to call them fetter boxes back in the day. And the reason we called them that is because they would put them up and they would stay unoccupied because people weren't buying them, and they had those air conditioned boxes and it said Feder on them. So you'd walk by one of these empty condos with the Feder cover, and we just called them Feder boxes. You got this house here. This is an old house. These houses date back to 1900s, early, like this one is, I think this one is 1901. I know the one by the elm tree is 1901. But this tree right here, so this is probably the oldest elm tree in Bath Beach. Now, I measured this trunk. This trunk comes in at 53 inches in diameter. And to get the diameter, you got to measure around. You get about, I think it was like something like 13 or 14 feet around. And then you have to divide it by pi, 3.14. You get your diameter. And then you multiply it by, and this is why it's important, you got to identify the tree. So this is an American elm. Although the latest census for the Parks Department has it as a Siberian elm, but I don't know, I kind of disagree with it, but I'm not a tree expert. But you can see how big this trunk is. And then this house right here, it's a pretty old house, 1901. But this tree, when you take the diameter and you multiply it by the factor of 4, that's the growth factor for the elm, you're going to come up with over 200 years. 52 would be 208. Be about 216 years old. And just look at this tree in the summertime when the sun is rising. It looks amazing. Get some good pictures of this tree. And they've cut that tree multiple times to counterweight it, because you can see it's leaning. If you look, you see where it's leaning. One day they will have to make a decision and cut that tree down, because at a certain point, you know, trees get old and sometimes they get brittle, and then you gotta hope that it doesn't fall on anybody or in a house. This right here is, it looks like it's starting to rain again. The school, you got a school and a schoolyard here. It's like a park. And then you have the police precinct. This is the 62nd precinct. Looks like they're going to tear this down, or it looks like they're going to tear it down. I'd say that's an ugly building. This is the 62nd precinct. And we will now walk past Bath Avenue. All right, so we are now 35 minutes approaching. We are getting close to the last street. Now, this is going to be interesting. So this, when we cross Cropsey, we're going to be walking into like this interesting little, like, it's like a circular, it just gets round, and you end up in, I think it's 20th Drive. And it'll take you to 20th Avenue, so we have to come back one block. And then Bay 23rd is like a cul-de-sac. It is really misting right now, so my umbrella is not doing much. I don't know if my lens is getting fogged up. Got this big vehicle coming in on the sidewalk. He's probably waiting for me. Or he's not. He's just sitting there. Here we go, Bay 22nd. Well, it looks like I'm stuck, guys. We'll keep the camera running. Here we go, Bay 22nd. And I got a car coming out right here, watch. Boom. He didn't see me. He's got that wall in front of him. Now this street just keeps going. You can see some of the houses on this block are small. If my camera is getting a little fogged up, I apologize. There's nothing I can do about it right now. I got one hand on the umbrella and the other on the camera. And I know it's pretty misty out right now. It almost looks like a fog. So here we are, Bay 22nd, and then it turns into this sort of like 20th Drive where it just keeps going to the left. And it will take us to 20th Avenue. It has gotten really, really misty and foggy, so if it looks like it's foggy, it is, regardless of if it's my lens or not. It definitely is pretty heavy mist right now. But there is no room to walk in between this tree and this bush, so I'm going to go on the street. This is where 19th Lane ends up. If you go in here, this is 19th Lane. It's another weird, quirky street, and then we're on 20th Drive. Now, Bay 23rd is behind the houses to my left. It's like a cul-de-sac, like a tiny little cul-de-sac area. So you get to see all these Bay streets, see what they're all about. If you used to live here, it's I would imagine it's nostalgic for you. If you've never lived here, you get to explore an area you've never been in. And if you currently live here, you kind of feel famous, I guess, because you're on YouTube. But we're going to come down 20th Avenue now, so. You might be able to hear the rain on my umbrella at this point, because it's starting to come down even a little harder now. Now the thing about this camera, you know, when I have the GoPro and I got rain coming, it's very easy to just wipe it because it is attached to like a mount on my chest. But the other thing is with this camera's on a gimbal, right? If you touch the gimbal, it goes into like this error lock mode and it wants to recalibrate. So it's a little harder to wipe the lens. I have to literally stop recording, wipe it, start the recording up. So I'm probably gonna do that when we get, so we're gonna go into Bay 23rd here, into this little cul-de-sac. And then when we're crossing Cropsey, I'm gonna stop and then we're gonna wipe and then keep going because the rain is on my back walking towards 86th Street. So I'll wait until I get over here to wipe it when we get back onto Cropsey. Now this is a dead-end street, so if you live in here, it's the only reason you would drive in here, really. Although it's not private, so if there's a parking spot in here and you need it, you know, by all means you can grab it. There's nothing that says that you can't park your car down here. Well, you can see this is kind of interesting, right? It's just it's like a little cul-de-sac, like a mini cul-de-sac. And we're gonna walk around the whole one. We're gonna just go around the whole perimeter. There's some old oak and maple trees in here. Got a lot of lands in some of these houses. So yeah, so this is a lot of people have never seen kind of a mini cul-de-sac in Brooklyn before. So there you go. You got your first look. It's not your typical traditional cul-de-sac that you see in like rural, you know, suburban areas that are really big and round, but it's similar. All right, I'm gonna wipe the camera down and then we're gonna cross Cropsey, so I'll be right back. All right, I think we're back. Yes, it says it's recording. So I had a problem. It just what I said happened. It locked while I was wiping it. So I had to shut it down, I had to wipe it, I had to turn it back on, I had to recalibrate. Because if it detects that something is holding the gimbal, it will consider it like a malfunction and it wants you to recalibrate and blah, blah, blah. So I had to do all that off camera. Now we're walking the last legs of this walk. So here we go, another street that has these walk-ups. And they're on both sides, by the way. You got walk-ups on that side too. Oh, there's an apartment for rent. If anyone's looking for an apartment in Beth Beach, I'll tell you right now, it's a good area to live. Top floor. There's the number. And I'll tell you, those apartments are pretty spacey. So they're not boxes. Like you see people paying for like a closet in New York City. You know, that's one thing. Let's talk about that, because a lot of people that don't live in this area think that every apartment is like that, and that is not the case. So I just want to make that clear for all of you watching out of state. Those apartments that people are renting, those, you know, I really can't wrap my head around why they would do that to themselves. Let's see if I can get across Bath Avenue. So I don't want to wait for the light. I'm just going to make it. Yeah, when you see those stories on the news and you see those people living in those $3,500 a month, those tiny little rooms where they have to share a bathroom in a nasty hallway, and that is Manhattan, okay? That's how things go down in Manhattan. $3,500, you might as well buy 2 houses and pay a mortgage on 2 houses. I mean, if you've got the money, now most of those, I'll be honest, most of those, they'll have roommates, you know, if it's a little bit bigger. But if you're paying that type of rent, man, you might as well buy 2 houses, not even 1. Because a mortgage, you could get a mortgage, you know, for some smaller houses, especially out in Staten Island, for about $1,800 a month. But yeah, it isn't like that here in the boroughs. You get an apartment out here, you're living in a pretty big space. My apartment's pretty big. It's pretty spacious. My closets, I got these 4 big walk-in closets, and you could probably section those off to 3 of those small apartments that they have in a Manhattan building. So that's how, you know, it's much bigger down here when you live in like the boroughs and stuff. But yeah, there are people that live in very tiny apartments. I guess whatever works for them, but personally, I think it's a waste of money. And I know the other thing is, obviously, they're going to say, well, there's a big crunch in where you could live. You know, there's like an apartment shortage, but I get that also, but it's not that much of it's not that bad of a shortage where you can't find a bigger place. So I guess to each their own. So done with my apartment rant. It's just sometimes I see those stories where they have them on, sometimes you'll see them on like the site that's famous, one of the news sites that's famous about that is the Daily Mail. They put a lot of, sometimes I'm gonna be honest, they put a lot of crap on their site, like stuff that's not even newsworthy, where you sit there and you're like, why is this news, you know? But they usually run a lot of stories like that where they show people living in like a $3,500 a month apartment that's a room, like a tiny little room, and they have to share the bathroom out in the hallway. I would never share a bathroom with somebody, like in a building, no way. Look at this house. Now guess what? This is a block I don't think I've ever walked down in my life. I really don't think I've ever walked down Bay 23rd from Benson to 86th Street. Oh, you know what I want to do? Hold on. I have walked down this block before, because I want to show you this little house. 1 second. I have walked down this block. I've just been on the other side. I'll show you this little house. Look at this house. Just nestled in here. It looks like it's in the original spot when it was built, probably a couple hundred years ago. There you go. So I have walked on this block. Now I'm walking on the other side and it feels more familiar. That's how the streets are in hold on. You could hear the foghorns down on the shore. That's how it is here in New York. You could walk on one side of the street and then come back and walk on the other side and feel like you're on two different streets. This is a nice looking house right here. Look at this. This looks like it was just recently done. That is a nice house. Got like marble steps. Very nice home. All right, we are ending it. I want to thank everybody for tagging along in the rain. Coming up on 86th Street, and we will end this section. As I said earlier, we'll probably only do this one time, all these Bay Streets. We're going to go through all the Bay Streets. So after we finish the next set, we will be halfway done. And eventually we won't officially be in Bath Beach anymore. Once we get past 23rd Avenue, that is considered Gravesend. So yeah, we are done. And I want to thank everybody for taking along. And stay tuned. We will continue on when we get to, I want to say Bay 25th, because the next block over is 20th. So then that would be Bay 25th. So that's that. Take care, everyone. Catch everyone on the next one.